the surface of it. So the area we just passed along Chapel Street, several other Hardys that we don't know anything about, but possibly relations. So we're going to turn left into Blackfriars.
Yeah, this is Blackfriars.
This is Blackfriars Road.
Street. What was that meant?
So I scouted around up here. It was hard doing this with maps. I had 18th, 19th century maps, early 20th century maps, and I was trying to find...
Because the weather report is bad with it.
That's Hodson. Okay, so nicely, kindly left up the sign there, because the only one that's still got the sign on. It enabled us to find out exactly where we were, Hodson Street. On Hodson Street, James... Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's that one you can't read what the hell it is, yeah. The ones we look at, Hodson, Raybold, and then we go up Street, we're not bothered about it, but it places Broughton Street. Yes, we are in Street.
Yeah, well, we've got
I mean, we're so lucky. Yeah, so we're doing Hodson, sorry, Raybold. Then, what? Censuses. But what I did quite a long time ago, and I lost it, and I found it again, was I'd done an extract from all the trade directories at the time, and I'd done a matrix of Hardys, where Hardys were in the area, what they did, and when they were there. And looking back at it, we already know we've got James Hardy, who's the oldest person we know in the family, not the oldest, the person we know farthest back, and we know he was involved from census. We know he did warehousing, or involved in dyeing, sorry, and also that they were involved in beer selling. But he was dyeing stuff, he was stacking it up somewhere, he was in warehousing. They were all in warehousing. They don't always say everything that they do. As I say, they might have several addresses. So what I hadn't realised is that it's exactly contemporary with the other references to James Hardy. James Hardy also had premises on Hodson Street, and this was like where he was as a cotton dealer. And also another Hardy as a twist and weft dealer. So the Hardys, and I'm pretty certain it was James Hardy and another one of the clan on what was Hodson Street, but Hodson Street probably ran further on. Yeah. Now it could be he was in the middle of the Renault garage. I ain't gonna tell you this, but that's Hodson Street. Here is Hodson Street. If you look at the very old maps, the roads are Murray, Rachel in Eccles. This is where his census address is. Now, Raybold Street is across over there. The main road wasn't here. This was all downstairs. This was going over that way slightly. That's where it's a little bit easier to get your head round. Didn't leave us any nice names when we were all here, but this is definitely Raybold Street. Not enough of the family room. So, Derek, find the bar, get in and line them up. Well, no, I'm not saying it's hard, but it's pretty down here where it was on the corner. The other somewhere here was Broad Street. down predilection for certain beverages amongst certain of the people from the family, guess what they sold, what they dealt in? Tea.
Hooray!
Now, I find it hard to think that there were anything part of the Hardy family as Trish and Mark would do nothing but drink tea. Well, Mark will have a pint as well, but
he's silly,
and I can't help but thinking they were just down here, part of the Hardy clan, and they were doing the tea drinking bit. Also on Greengate, another James Hardy. Don't think it was. Pretty sure he's not our James Hardy. Perhaps he's a cousin. Perhaps he's the cousin. He was selling paint and beer. So he was on Greengate down there. He was painting and he's selling beer. How lot of dyeing silk. He's dyeing silk and he's got a boozer here. And his wife's his cousin Ellen's vlogging. We've got the corner shop.
That's more in my guess. Be careful. We've gone to the golf here. Be careful. How long is it going to stay there? I don't know. I noticed it the first time. Oh, I hate to tell you, it goes on to the 27th of November. Oh, that's quite a character.
He was the most prolific.
That's right, yes, he was, yes.
Joshua Brooks will feature in our family history.
And apparently, it was saying to the gentleman there, when his bridegroom stopped talking, and either a right person or didn't ride at all, he would just pick something from the congregation, hide them by proxy. So that when
they were sort of married.
They were married
anyway,
whether they liked it or not, yes.
We'll get into that either in more detail or I'll pick up on that bit of it, family history.
If you look up into the room, we've got 7 angels down each side with medieval instruments. They're 15th century, and they're believed to have been bought for this parish church as it then was by Lady Margaret Beaufort, who was the grandmother of Henry VIII. So they've been up there since 14-something or other.
It's just the old, really old wall here.
Yeah, what happened?
Obviously, I'm sorry.
It is. Why that's in such a mess?
All right.
In the early 19th century, they decided to plaster everywhere because apparently it was fashionable to have the church of the Roman cement. So they hacked away at all the stonework to make the plaster stick. As the 19th century wore on, they realised it wasn't a good idea because the weight of it was causing structural damage. So they hacked it all up again.
Well, is that still a little bit of it up there?
It just
looks
like
like
it's
down. Yeah, she lost your head, by the way.
Lost your head.
I can show you another one of those. His head. I'll move out of the way.
Yes, we know, but why did you take it? Well, they didn't see it.
In the 17th century, and he created, well, in his trust, he left the money to create a school for boys. There's a little boy in the uniform. Cheatham's is now a specialist music school, and of course they have had girls there for quite a while, and they supply the children's choir for the cathedral. So Humphrey was in the regiment chapel when it bombed. He was very lucky to survive. Got a poorly knee, and the little boy lost his foot. Apart from that, it was a bit shit, but it survived the bomb. So there's Humphrey. Okay, well, we'll go up that. Sorry, I used to.
No, you're okay.
Where you came in, it was in the foundations. It's believed to be late Anglo-Saxon or early Norman because we know this isn't the first church on this site, and this is at least 14th century, this building, possibly 13th century. And we think it's the third church on this site. We're actually on high ground.
Yeah.
The Victorians built up, because of course this area is called Hanging Ditch, as some of you may know.
The ditch on the
Hanging Ditch, yeah. In the Cathedral Visitors Centre, if you go down into the basement, you can see the bridge in there, the hanging bridge. Yeah, well, it's in the basement of the Visitors Centre. Yeah, not that hanging. Of course, the Victorians built up, and so, you know, we just looked really not very high up anymore. Okay, and there's a second floor.
Yeah? Go on, I'm listening.
That one there,
Yeah.
near the pillar. With the
Oh, yeah.
It's very moving when you read it, and it's very old.
It's all new, isn't it?
Unfortunately, in December 1914, it had a bomb dropped on it. And if you look at the photographs on the wall there, you'll see there really wasn't very much left. It's just a pile of stones. It shows you before and after on there.
It was rubble.
Not quite as bad as Coventry, but that's a flat one.
That was the whole cathedral, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Created his collegiate church. He appointed a man named John Huntington to be the first warden. And the medieval title warden is the equivalent of today's dean. Okay. And this is John Huntington. He actually is buried down there. And if you look at the small arch at the back there, there's a tiny carving at each side. We've got a man hunting at that side. And we've got plough or tons of men at that side. So it's hunting ton, 15th century movement. We also have some of the finest misericords in England in here. Are you all familiar with misericords? No. It's the name given to the type of seat. But first of all, I'll show you the bishop's throne. A cathedral, the type of cathedral comes from the word cathedra, which is Greek for throne or chair. And it's the where the bishop sits. Destroyed in 1940 and had to be rebuilt. So it's still been furnished with modern wall hangings. The screen is the original. Most of it is. You can see bits where it's been repaired. But the screen is the original one. Manchester is the smallest cathedral in England, but it also has the widest nave. And that's because in medieval times, when it was still a parish church, they used to build chantry chapels onto the sides, the wealthy families, to say masses for the dead. After the chantry chapels were abolished by Edward VI, instead of knocking them down, they just brought them into the body of the church, which makes it a wide, quite a wide nave at the bottom. Okay. If you've been to Liverpool Cathedral, there's one of these. They're very similar, not quite the same. It's fiberglass.
Shocking.
I think it's beautiful, though.
It wasn't in stone or something.
I know. The lady who did that, she lived in the Lake District, and it's only a few years. You've got three in one there. So you make of that what you will.
I like it. Should we get, if we get everybody in here?
Have you got a bit about it then?
Well, it's not so much that, it's about the families. We've asked Joyce about the font. The font, historically, was probably situated by the west door of the church, cathedral, where it's a church.
Sorry, are we in your way?
And I just asked if it was, where it is, but it's now over in the Regiment Chapel. So it's not where it would have been when the Hardys were christened. And there's sort of, time's marching very rapidly, unfortunately. Just picking up on the point Joyce raised before about the factory element of the hatches, batches and dispatches of the church here. Until the early part of the 17th century, there had only been this one church in the parish of Manchester, but gradually there were other chapels that came up around it, and indeed other ones that were edging on the church proportions, like the one we know well in Chorlton-cum-Hardy, Didsbury, Salford even. And especially from 1800, as we've already discussed today, the population of the place boomed, it just went mad.
Absolutely.
But we've only got really this one mother church, is what was the collegiate church, and by the mid-19th century became the cathedral. But this church had the monopoly on fees for weddings and burials, and even I suppose they must have charged them the baptism. And this created a situation when this population soared that really caused a little bit of rancor that went on for a long time, because what happened was that this was the church that you had to get married in if you wanted to pay one set of fees, because the mother church had the monopoly on it. If you wanted to get married at Chorlton-cum-Hardy, Didsbury, these little rural villages within the parish of Manchester, you had to cough up to the local church guy there, but the mother church was entitled to a fee, so you had to pay twice. So that's the reason. So when we all started out in family history and saw you saw your ancestors who were baptised in Manchester Cathedral, whoa, they must have been important. No, the person that got married or whatever at the parish churches were the ones who had money, because they could afford to pay twice. And no, well, not at that time. And it really was a sort of a factory, and there was and the times they got married, don't forget, people didn't get holidays, didn't get paid holidays. Yeah. People tend to work. Well, they got Sundays off to go to church, but people didn't get holidays except for holy days. And one of the main holidays in Manchester that lived on to recent times was Whit Monday. Whit Monday, they were queuing. There was a queue down the road there. They were all queuing up to get married. It was, and there were and a few, as Joyce has explained, got waylaid in the pub. But this was.
We got married by proxy.
This was the factory era.
Changed the mind. It was tough,
And keeping the register, the guys, hang on, who did we have there? Well, I didn't catch that one, old Fred. The records weren't even very good. They could hardly keep up with it. These were queues of people.
That's why you often find distractions in spellings of names, because whoever wrote it down
what was his name?
spelled very well. It sounds
So we've got a huge gathering of couples all stood there, plus a few they roped the guy into standing for the guy that was flat out in the pub. And do you, Fred and Joe, what's it? I'd get married. And it really was as bad as that. So, unfortunately, it just takes the gloss off having ancestors married in Manchester Cathedral. And also at the end of it all, as time went on, and these, you can imagine, all these other churches and everybody was getting a little bit upset about it, but it was an Act of Parliament in 1850 that said about ending the practice, but the parish clerks at the time were the guys that were licensed to do it, and what the Parliament says, it didn't die out until the last of them died out, and the last of them didn't die out until 1876, so it was diminishing. There was only like the one guy perhaps left in the end. Oh, I'll just knock a guy out this morning. And then finally, by the 1870s, the whole practice had faded away. And if you looked in the on the Latter-day Saints registers and these, and you know, the baptisms and the records, you'll find at that time the numbers of marriages and that there just plummets, absolutely, because they're now all getting married at the other local churches by that time. So, sorry to cut you, but it was just that it's on the family history thing.
Family history, yeah, that's fine.
Just so it was much quiet here, we could just...
Yeah, another point of it is nothing to do with family history.